This deal changes the entirety of the Premier League and the title race next year. Arsenal are in the process of completing, not just getting a deal done, but completing the transfer of Viktor Gyokeres, one of the most prolific and deadly strikers in the world. David Ornstein, Ben Jacobs, and Fabrizio Romano have shared this news, and it is massive. Fabrizio here says the agreement between Arsenal and Sporting Lisbon is getting closer after new talks. The negotiations between the clubs never off, despite reports which we all saw. Arsenal are now willing to get closer to that 70 million euro spot. Ben Jacobs here stating that Arsenal are finalizing a move. They're in the process of completing the move for Viktor Gyokeres after a breakthrough on Saturday, which Ben Jacobs reported. This was also, I mean, I saw KJ get a lot of stick yesterday and the channel, the Football Terrace, because we reported on a medical that had reportedly been penciled in and scheduled for next week. This evening news proves that there is a large element of truth to that. Ben Jacobs goes on to say, as reported yesterday, Arsenal viewed Saturday as a key day in talks, and the expectation is a deal now will complete this week. The day that the shirt's being held by the player, who knows, but it looks like he'll be in before the preseason tour. And of course, the bomber from Ornstein says that Arsenal are in the process of completing a move for Viktor Gyokeres after the final steps in negotiations with Sporting Lisbon. It says Arsenal made formal advances on the terms over the weekend to secure the 27-year-old. And it's fantastic business. And as much as myself, many Arsenal fans, many rivals criticized the deal for Noni Madueke, and I get why we all did, I still stand fervently on what I said at the time, and I'll continue to believe this, and that is that deal in itself may be poor for the finances, maybe he won't deliver, etc., etc., etc. However, and what I think is really, really important is to look at the quality of the player, is to look at the brilliance of the individual. And he has scored 97 goals in 103 games. I understand there is this sort of view, this opinion, this online sort of phenomenon, really, that because he's done it in Portugal, it's not going to translate to the Premier League. And there is, of course, a chance that that is true. But, and there is a big but here, he isn't scoring with the frequency of consistency like every other striker in Portugal. Yes, there have been strikers who have scored 20 goals a season for a few years on the bounce. There's been some guys that have had a little bit of a blip season where they've done it in the Champions League and had a good season in Portugal. But what you haven't seen is these types of numbers, plus the international record, the Champions League record to boot. The variety of goals. I keep hearing he only scores in transition. I saw a compilation from the playoff final in England a few years back. This is what happens when there's no space and physical defenders. And it was a compilation of things that didn't quite work out. But I was watching it and it was so flawed. I was watching. By the way, it doesn't mean that their mud throwing won't stick. Could go wrong. Okay, we'll put it out there. But where the analysis was flawed from a logical standpoint is there was times where his hold-up play was great and he'd move the ball out to one of the wide players or knock the ball into one of the central midfield players to create some space, and then he'd make a run. But the pass from his teammate was poor, or their control wasn't good enough. He's not playing for Coventry anymore. He's playing for Arsenal, where the standard and the quality is better. There were so many good actions from him, but where a teammate... There was one great bit of play. He held the ball up at the top of the center circle D in the opponent's half. Great turn, was driving down the left-hand side. And the player that was on the left, and I don't know whether it was the winger or the fullback because I don't know their players, but he was sort of shuffling and moving into the same area that Gyokeres was moving into. What Gyokeres needed was either a run off the shoulder or movement in the opposite direction to create the space. And the player didn't do it. And I saw people go, see, I told you about it. He's running into dead ends. He wasn't. He was moving in the right area, dragging a centre-back out of position. What he needed was for the winger to either make a run off the shoulder to take the fullback out the way, or to drop deeper to get the fullback to go with him. A midfield player for Coventry should then have been running into the space created in the central areas with the centre-back coming out. But they were all static. And this is the problem with that type. When you're looking for a flaw, you can always find one. And I think Arsenal here, the here we go is so close to landing. The here we go that was seen as impossible. Seen as impossible. The amount of haters, the amount of rivals, the amount of Arsenal fans. I remember from March 2025 when Ornstein first said that they are looking at this player. It won't happen. Pipe dream, nonsense. My club will never. Rivals saying Arsenal don't do this kind of business. You are now seeing the panic. You are now seeing the flapping of actually he's not very good. Let's make the transfer window all about Noni Madueke and how bad it still is, etc., etc., etc. Rather than putting their hands up, being honest and saying, do you know what? I got it wrong. Fair play to my football club. Speak about that in isolation and the brilliance of it, because that's what it is. It's a brilliant, brilliant piece of business. Isak almost unattainable, plus Liverpool are seemingly the front runners to get him if Newcastle do sell him. Outside of Isak, who's better? I know there are Gooners that think Šeško is. I know there are Gooners who think Ekitike is. It's fair enough. You're entitled to have that opinion. But I don't think they're at Gyokeres' level yet. Who else is out there? Who is that number 9? And don't give me, oh, I want somebody with sell-on value. No, have someone who's going to come in. And for me, I think he's a guarantee of 20 league goals. I think 20 league goals a season between now and the next 4 years. I think he'll get in and around that. And I don't need to put the caveat in, if he's fit, because we all know that means if he's fit. And there's no signs that, and touching wood for him as an individual, that his body is going to break down in that way. It's phenomenal. This is a high goal-scoring player. Some will say, Terry, 20 goals, though. It's not the 50 he's getting now. I do think his numbers will drop from Portugal to the Prem because it's a harder league. But I don't think they're going to drop to an astronomically low level where he isn't having a big impact for Arsenal. His movement is excellent. Poacher's instincts, great with the one-on-ones, can really hit a ball as well. The level that Arsenal's attack is about to go up is palpable. It will be decisive. And with the controlling nature of Zubimendi coming into their team, with the extra creativity they should have with the likes of Eze, putting Gyokeres in that team, so many of last season's draws, so many of last season's narrow defeats for Arsenal have the huge potential now to become wins. And I know it's been a fatiguing summer for a lot of Arsenal fans because of how last season petered out. And I respect how you feel. I respect how you view things. I do. And I'm making a conscious effort to be better at that. But I'm looking at your window taking shape. And genuinely, what am I seeing? What are you seeing? What are we all seeing here? We are seeing Gyokeres, Zubimendi. We have seen Kepa already come in. Norgarda's backup. Miles Lewis-Skelly new deal. Waneri's going to sign a new deal. A very exciting new centre-back coming in as an example. What else am I forgetting here? Noni, I know you're not particularly happy with. Eze is likely to join as well. I look at those 9 points and I see one that's bad. The rest, I look at it and think there's not much criticism that's needed there. I remember having the likes of Brandon and co. very angry at Arsenal last year, telling me we need to do all these things in the summer. 5, 6, 7 new players, back up in midfield, back up at centre-back, back up in goal, back up with creative midfield, back up for Saka, an out-and-out number 9. Arsenal are addressing those points. So, Gooners, how do you feel about this? Rivals, what are your thoughts and feelings? Let me know in the comment section below. But the here we go is about to drop for Viktor Gyokeres to Arsenal. And it's a massive, it's a seismic, it's a huge, huge bomb. Hit the like button, make sure you're subscribing, and we'll see you all again very, very soon. Peace.